Welcome back to another video, guys. Right now, I'm breaking down my trade on gold once again, how I made a crazy amount of profit. I've really been looking at gold pretty much all this month as far as April and coming into the new month of May. It really been going crazy as far as the patterns and the price action and really beautiful. Any even new trader can get into these trades and make a crazy amount of money. My most recent trade on gold was right here on this wedge right here. Getting in for a wedge or for any kind of price action pattern is super simple when you're looking at it, especially when these wedges acting as a continuation pattern within the trend. You can see how the trend starts off, right? In this bearish motion, right? It's coming to the downside, this bearish motion. This is also a very important thing about market structure when it comes to a trade. The same way how over here in the past, it was pushing up, had a correction, and went up, right? Pushed up, had a correction, and it kept on going up. Now, this right here is where market structure come in at, right? When it came back down here to this given point, it could have went right back to the top side and kept on going up. But instead, it went back below and it retested back to the same exact level, right? So this is how I knew my sell narrative was more likely than the buy narrative. This is why I always discuss like any given time you're into a trade, you're always 50-50 off the bat, right? Because there's always just two choices, buy or sell, or A or B, right? So you always have different narratives or different choices or evidence that happen into the market that can make whatever choice weigh a lot more heavier. So when it comes down to this, because it fell back below the level and pulled back, I knew a sell was more likely. If it would have stayed above that level, then a buy was going to be more likely, right? So when it comes down to this, right, you're seeing how we have this wedge pattern. A wedge is super simple. They always start off super wide. You see how it's super wide in the very beginning and it gets tighter and tighter within that wedge, right? Within that pattern. So sooner or later within that wedge, it has to break out. This is why I always say it's super easy because as soon as it gets to the end of the wedge, it has to either push above the level and that will give you evidence for a buy narrative is more likely, or in this case, is falling below the level, right? And this is how I knew my sell narrative was more likely. We can even get 1 second, a little bit closer to this and really can see for ourselves, like when it came below this level, this bar, it closed below that pattern. And that's how I knew. You knew how all these other bars, it just wicked to the pattern, right? It just wicked to the pattern. But this bar, it clearly closes below that bar. And that was how I got into my trade, had stop loss above that pattern, and I rode it all the way to the downside for a crazy amount of profit. So you can see how this wedge in the middle is acting as a continuation pattern. And these are very important steps when it comes to price action. You got reversal, continuation, and you got also your candlestick patterns. We can combine all these certain things. You can really be a great price action trader and make a crazy amount of money without having all the indicators and things on your chart to block your view what's really going on in the market. So seeing this right here, guys, even coming down to a lower time frame or to the 4 hour, you can pretty much see how simple it was even there. This is why I always say time frames can't really confuse you because time is like it's not separate. Time is all together. Whether it be on the 1 hour, the 2, the 3, the 4, it's all the same exact thing to me. Even when it comes down here, you can see that we have the same exact thing, right? A wedge. It starts off wide, it gets tighter in that pattern. Sooner or later, it gets to the end of it and it makes some kind of pattern like this right here is that evening star confirmation, and you still could have gotten for the sell, made a crazy amount of profit. So getting into the trade are super, super easy when it comes down to price action. I always say when looking at gold, especially when it comes down to making money, you gotta know how to adapt to the market. You gotta know how to really read the market structure and also all these patterns, they form all the time, right? Even here in the past, seeing breakout, pullback, making a morning star here, and then going to the top side. Even going back to the higher time frame, we saw that once here, right? We said a breakout here, the pullback, making a morning star on this, right? And it went all the way to the top side. So again, guys, learn how to read these patterns and get into the market this way is super simple. If you want to learn more how to really get into this, let me know. You can always get in on my chat, whatever it may be, but price action is by far the most effective way. You don't need a bunch of indicators or anything like that. You can see how highly effective and easy this is to read. For me, like trading for me is not about numbers or all that stuff, right? It's not an important part about it. even though so many guys believe so when it comes down to being a trader. But the key thing about this is pattern, is pictures. Like you can read the pattern in the market, you can predict where it's going to go. But I see you next time, guys. Have a good weekend. This right here, my trader on gold, made a crazy amount of profit on this 18K or more. So I see you next time, guys. I'll see you later. Have a good weekend.